I am fired up. Today, I am talking to those of you who feel like there are roadblocks in front of you in creating the culture that you want at work or that you want at home, right? Maybe you're like, if this person wasn't this way, or if this thing wasn't happening right now, we would have a culture where people could thrive. But with those things in place, we just can't get there. And I'm here to tell you today, that is just not true. All right? We are going to talk about what strategies you can put into place to seriously start changing the culture in a positive way and begin that trajectory that you want to see, that exponential growth where you are thriving at work and just diving into your full potential, but so are the people around you. I cannot wait. This one is for all of you who just want change. I'm here to tell you there is a way to do it, and we're going to get into it. Let's go. Ooh, I had a call earlier today and it pumped me up to be here today to remind you that you can be the change. And before any of you log off, because you're like, no, Ann, you don't understand. No, Ann, that's just not true. There really is nothing I can do to change the environment around me. Before you go in there, let's just pause. Let's just pause and let's breathe. And let's take a minute to listen to some truth. Here's the truth for you. Whether you believe it or not, your actions make a difference. Your mindset makes a difference. What you think, what you say, and what you do makes a difference for you and for the people around you. And when we can own that and get excited about that truth, then we can truly create change around us, because we know that the little things we do will make a difference, and the little things we say will make a positive shift. But if we truly believe that there is someone at the office that is going to ruin this culture for us, or there is someone in your way, the answer is, then it won't work. You're absolutely correct. And so you need to decide, are you the change? Are you the person that can positively create change at work? And then you need to decide, are you in it for the long haul? The conversation I had earlier today was a little disheartening because I had someone tell me that this is how it's always been and this is how it's going to be. And I was like, ooh, you could not be more wrong. This is how it's been is a true statement. How it's going right now is how it's going right now. But this is how it will always be is a choice. Friends, you can choose to believe that and sit in this mindset that you do not have control over the change around you. Or you can say, this is how it's always been, and this is where I want to see it go. And step into the actions that you can take and the consistency you can bring to work so that others see that. They see that positivity. They see that energy. They see that creativity. They see that problem solving being modeled in front of them. And they go, oh, there is a different way. And I'm here to tell you today, there absolutely is a different way. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Now, the hard message today is I don't know when it will click. I don't know when it will change. I cannot give you a date. I cannot say that in 90 days, it will completely shift. I don't know. What I do know for certain is when you begin creating consistent actions and you truly believe that change is possible, you will start to see it. You might see it in one employee first, and that will hopefully inspire you to keep going. And then you might see it in a team meeting, and that will inspire you to keep going. But I will also tell you that if you decide to give up your power and allow the culture to create itself, in the society we're in right now, I will tell you the likelihood of it becoming very negative is very likely. So today, let's step into the mindset, if even for just a few minutes, that change is possible. As we talk through some strategies today, I just want to remind you, change is possible. A positive shift will happen. You have to believe that first and foremost. If you are talking to yourself right now and you are saying, nope, it won't work, you can pause or stop this episode right here. Because truly, if your mindset is that stuck, no idea that I'm about to give you is going to work. So if you have to press the pause button and talk to yourself out loud and say, okay, I get it. That person is really driving our culture into the ground. But what if this works? What if what Anne is about to say works? What if I can shift the other people around me? And maybe, just maybe, that person that's pulling the culture down will get on board. What if that works? What would that feel like? What would that look like? What would that sound like? What would it be like to walk into work excited to be there? What would it be like to create the culture that other people are excited to show up and work in? What would that feel like? If you are ready for these strategies, keep listening. If you are not ready, that is okay. I know that there was a time in my life where I was not ready for positive change. I just wasn't ready. I would have given you 100 reasons why nothing would work. I might have told you, well, you don't know these students, or you don't know these parents, or you don't know my principal, or you don't understand the school district I work in. I might have said that to you. And I wish I could go back in time and say, Anne, that is just your mindset. That is not truth. And so I am here to tell you today, if you feel stuck, if you feel like your culture is toxic and it is just not working out, that might be true, but it doesn't have to stay that way. You can create change, I promise you. And if you feel like you are putting in the work to create change and it's not changing, you have full control on whether or not you stay in that environment or not. So let's step in to that idea that our actions make a difference, that when we believe change is possible, it sure is, and it is inevitable. It will happen when we change our words and our actions. And when we step into that, we can step into these strategies. Let's go. All right. So step one is mindset. You've got to be in the mindset that you can create change. When I was originally creating the impact method, the I actually stood for I, because I truly believed that if you didn't believe that you yourself had the ability to create change, you couldn't create change. Now, granted, now the I stands for investigate, which I would argue is step two. You have to figure out what is going well in the culture that you have at work and what do you need to have change, and really lean into that. Get out a piece of paper. And I want you to think about, what are things going well? Are people supportive of one another? Are people connecting on a personal level with each other? Awesome. Are they doing that too much? Are they chatting and standing around the office instead of being productive, right? Take a look at what the culture is. Take that investigation step. Write it down. What do you have and what do you want? Now, once you know what you want, right? So step two, investigate what you want. Now, step 3 from the impact model is model. What do you need to model to see a change in behavior of others? So you, back in the investigation stage, maybe you said you want more people supporting others when they are done with their workload. So you have projects that need to get done, and you have someone finish with their project and they just kind of like sit around and maybe check their email and just kind of hang out until their shift is over. And you would absolutely love it if they got done with what they needed to get done and they walk over to someone else and say, hey, I'm done for the day. What can I help you with? What can you model as a leader in the office or in the shop or at your workplace? What can you model that shows them, hey, when I'm done, I'm going to check on my teammates to see what they need help with? Let's say that the culture is toxic and you're like, I want to change this culture. People are talking about other people in a negative way. Maybe they're talking about clients in a not so great way, or other staff, other teammates, and you just want to see that end. What can you model to show them that that is not the culture you want to be in? Now, sometimes this looks like having a one-on-one conversation with someone and saying, hey, you know, in the office, I hear a lot of talk about clients and, you know, us talking about how we don't like certain ones. And I just think that needs to stop. That's really not serving anybody. Or maybe there's some negative talk between coworkers about another team member when they're not present, right? What are you going to model? What conversation do you need to have with that individual or those individuals for them to understand that is not the culture we want here? But you need to be prepared for what can come back. You also need to be prepared to set your actions up so that you are not partaking in that behavior in another environment, right? If you come in and you talk negatively about your boss and then you're asking everybody else to not talk negatively about the teammates, like that's not modeling. So you need to make sure that you are modeling your actions first and foremost before you expect change out of other people. The other thing that some leaders struggle with is, well, but I don't want to be put on an island because I'm expecting them not to talk behind others' backs, so they just ignore me and they don't include me in their conversation, and you know, they exclude me from what they're up to because I told them I didn't want to have those negative conversations. Yep, that is what can happen to leaders when they set the line and they expect others to follow it. So please be prepared that that might be something you run into. The good news for you is that when you consistently do this, when you consistently draw the line, when you consistently model what you want to see, one of two things is going to happen. Number one, everyone is going to know what they're going to get from you, which is awesome. When people know what is going to happen, when they have that common situation or that consistent culture that they're going to be in, they are actually going to be more confident in that culture because they know what they're going to get. But yes, on the other side, sometimes when you draw that line, there are people that are not going to want to get on board. And that can be a tricky situation. Look for future episodes on how to handle that confrontation. Once we model what we want, step 3, right? So first, we got to get our mindset right, that we can truly create change. Second, we've got to investigate. What do we want? What do we want to see? Third, we got to go out and model that. Last, for this episode, I just want you to know that what you appreciate, you will see more of. If you do nothing from these other steps except this one, I do believe you will see change, which is appreciate the good that's happening in the office. Whatever you wrote down is going really well right now, make sure you are appreciating that, pointing that out. I believe I've shared the behavior focused compliment. Focus on the behavior. If people are working together, comment on that. If people are talking positively about a client, comment on that. If people are communicating in advance and helping you get really clear on a future project, comment on that. If people are complimenting a coworker behind their back, comment on that. Point out and appreciate the good, awesome behaviors that your team is showing you. And guess what? You will see more of it. So put your brain, your eyes set to go find all the good and then comment on it. Now, real quick, we don't want to comment on it in front of everybody and make a big deal that Jessica and Brittany had a positive conversation today, and we're so grateful for that. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm suggesting. What I am is when they are complimenting a coworker who's not present, walking up and saying, I love how you are talking about one of our teammates right now. I think you guys should share what you just said to each other to her. I think she would absolutely love to know that what she did for that client yesterday that you were impressed with. Would one of you mind sending her a quick email, shooting her a text message, letting her know tomorrow how grateful we are for what she did, right? That one-on-one connection is really going to shift the culture, and it's going to do it pretty quickly. Step 5. I'm going to go to the T in the impact method, which is transform. And the only way you're going to transform the culture that you are in is through your own consistency. And I know this can be so hard because work is inconsistent. I get that. I hear you. But what can you do consistently that grows that positive culture that you want to see? I would highly, highly recommend that after you investigate and you make a list of 5 things you want to be seeing: more teamwork, more collaboration, team members helping team members, more positive talk in the office. I want you to take that list and I want you to post it somewhere. And then think about what can you consistently do to nurture that culture that you want. What can you yourself, who you have already said, I can do this, I can change it, I can shift it, or I can continue building it. That might be another piece. You may be listening to this saying, Anne, we have a really great culture at work. I just want to know how to maintain that. What actions do you need to keep taking consistently so that you can continue to nurture that thriving culture? And if your culture is not thriving, what actions can you take to grow that thriving culture? If you listen to this today and you are like, yes, I am ready, I can do this, but you are looking for a step-by-step approach, there is something coming for you. Launching next week is an opportunity for you to get one-on-one coaching, information like step-by-step strategies to really grow that thriving culture. More so than today, right? Today I gave kind of an overview of 5 things you can do to create a thriving culture. In what is coming, you are going to get even more focused strategies that go a little bit deeper into how and what to do to help you feel confident in really building and nurturing that thriving culture that you know you will thrive in, and so will others. Be prepared. That is coming up on next week's episode. And if you are thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, Anne, I want this information now, or I want to make sure if I forget to listen to next week's episode that I still get the information of what is launching next week, go ahead and join the Impact email community. You are going to go into the show notes and click the link to get on the Impact newsletter list. From there, you'll receive an email from me about once a week, might be every other week, certain months. But this is a way for you to stay in the content that is on the podcast and also get a little bit more of the behind the scenes and more clear actions to take and be able to stay in this information. So often we listen to a podcast and we think that was so good, and we're driving in the car and we don't apply what that podcast talked about. Being on the email community, you will get updates and you will be able to stay in the impact method and the impact information and get connected to what is coming in the future. I am excited to build a community of leaders that is consistently working on not only bettering themselves, but also creating a space for other people to grow into their potential as well. I really hope today's podcast inspired you to take some action. If you listened today and you thought to yourself, man, other people on my team need to hear this message that we truly can create change and really drive and shift the culture, please send them this podcast. Send them a link to this podcast and let them know that you would love to have them listen to it and have a conversation about it afterwards. Maybe you decide to sit down with your work bestie and write the list together. What's going really well in our culture and what do we need to work on? The more we can connect people with this type of positive content that hopefully empowers and inspires change, the more we will see the people around us and the cultures that we are within shift for the good. Thank you so much for being here. And remember, what if it works? What if you slowly start to shift your actions and the rest of your team follow? Imagine what that culture could be like and what you could do for your people and your clients and their futures. It's pretty incredible to think about the impact we can have. Now go out there and create change.